Trains of the future. Although this futuristic mode of transportation has been around for more than 30 years, MagLev technology remains unperfected. MagLev trains take much of their trips to accelerate to top speed and then decelerate. They require constant computer monitoring to stay afloat, and most models are fairly vulnerable to wind shear, changes in wind speed or direction. In addition, MagLev track is among the most expensive on Earth to construct. On the other hand, several MagLevs have been in commercial use and many countries plan to build more. As traditional fossil fuels become harder to get, electric and electromagnetic trains will become more cost-effective for short to medium-haul trips. Countries around the world are considering plans for MagLev and high-speed electric trains on conventional tracks. In Brazil, researchers are working on a MagLev car models that uses many short, stubby cars to get around the tight turns without having to slow down. Scientists propose such a rail system could be built to link the major cities of Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo before Brazil hosts World Cup soccer in 2014. And if you think it would be fun to ride on a super-fast train at hundreds of miles an hour, how about riding an ultra-fast MagLev at thousands of miles an hour? Smooth a vacuum at a top speed of 6,000 kilometers per hour, 3728 miles per hour. Travelers could journey across the ocean in about 55 minutes. Possible? Researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, say maybe someday, if you put the vacuum tunnel underwater. That's because a train traveling through a vacuum, like the kind you find in space, wouldn't encounter any air friction. That would make it free to travel as fast as an electrical current allows. Putting the tube underwater would keep the train out of the way of other vehicles or damaging weather. So, such a setup would cost as much as a human mission to Mars. Professor Ernst Frankel at MIT says an underwater tunnel connecting Boston and New York City along the eastern seaboard could be a realistic test of such technology. Instead of a 4-hour train ride between these cities, Dr. Frankel estimates that a MagLev in a near vacuum tunnel could make the trip in 45 minutes. That's even less time than an airplane trip between the two cities. Expert interview. So, you can't ride a supersonic MagLev train under the ocean today. I can tell you that this kind of train already exists. At the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, we've shot small model-sized trains through test tunnels at more than 1,000 kilometers per hour, 621 miles per hour. Imagine the online model mentioned at the end of this book with no ads to slow it down. MIT Professor Emeritus Ernst Frankel. Trains of the distant future. Think the idea of underwater magnet trains is far out? Try MagLevs in space. Believe it or not, NASA is exploring the idea of using MagLev technology to launch satellites into space. The idea is that a satellite would ride a MagLev sled along a giant launch ring that ends in a ramp. A rocket attached to the sled would leave the ramp and scream through the atmosphere at 23 times the speed of sound, nearly 30,000 kilometers per hour, 19,000 miles per hour. Other extreme uses of next generation trains include MagLev on the moon or even Mars, not as subways or railway systems. Things already float pretty well there. But to launch equipment and people out and away to even farther places in the solar system. It all sounds like something in the distant future, but it's amazing how quickly the future becomes the present. What's almost certain is that the people who will build these machines are the kids of today. In other words, you. Will you have what it takes to dream up the trips of tomorrow? See you on the tracks. See end.